All right, so I'm gonna do a quick video here about how to de-botnet Android. There's a lot of information here. I'd say Reddit's definitely a good source to kind of check some of this stuff out. And yeah, let's get going on this. So generally, you're gonna want to use Lineage OS. There are some custom ROMs you can use for your device, but Lineage pretty much has everything to offer. It does not allow you to use micro-G, which is a basically a spoofing. It spoofs G apps sort of. It's kind of like a little more private. Apparently, I'm not entirely sure all of that how that works, but it's an option if you want to look into micro G. I know I'm actually running Copperhead OS. I'm not Copperhead OS. Carbon. I forgot the name. I'm running a. I'm running There we go. Omni OS. Omni ROM. It's a custom ROM for my phone. Because Lineage was not supported at the time, so I'm running a custom ROM, but it works pretty much the same as Lineage OS. But it did have micro G support. I tried it. I don't know. It's a little crazy with micro G. So I would say do not use it unless you need to look into it. But if you I would say try to avoid G apps, and you might just have to install G apps for some of these apps like social media, like I don't know, Facebook and all that stuff. There's some like Uber and stuff. I'm not sure. I haven't tried Uber and stuff like that. So if you really need to use some of those apps like immediately, you gotta download them. They probably are not gonna work. I've had some apps where they just don't work on my phone because I don't have G apps installed. So there might be an issue with compatibility with some of these mainstream apps. Also, no Signal uses G apps. However, it works without G apps, but it uses more battery. So there's definitely going to be a compatibility issue with that. And apparently, I also heard Google is now forcing app developers to embed notifications and push notifications and sort of stuff like that with the Google Apps ecosystem. So it's getting more entrenched as the days go on. So if you need it, you can always install GApps, and I think you can remove it, but I heard it's not recommended to remove it once you've installed it. So make that decision wisely. For Google Maps, you do not need to have GApps installed because I've actually used Google Maps. Um, Sign in is also not required. You can just skip all that shit and you just use it as normal. It does lag on my phone. I don't know if it's with my phone, my ROM. I don't know what's going on, but there's like a lag to it. So not navigation, but when I'm typing in stuff, there's like this lag, and it's fucking annoying, but it works. So I typically use OS Command Plus. It's in F-Droid, the App Store, which I'll talk about later. It's free to use. It uses I forgot the thing, but it's like an open map sort of thing. Open Street Map, it's called. It does navigation. It does not. It's very bad at knowing names of locations, and also specific addresses. So it'll get you like in the general location most of the time. You can kind of figure it out. But if you search for, I have sometimes issues with certain addresses. Like it doesn't know that specific address. It knows a nearby address, but it kind of gets you. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm saying it's pretty good. And I'm in USA, so it's pretty decent. I can type in like a ferry terminal. It'll get me to the ferry terminal. But also like some university stuff. It'll tell me I can search for a building at a university. It'll get me there, which is kind of cool. But generally, you're gonna have to have addresses written down on a fucking piece of paper when you use this app because it is not gonna know what the fuck you're talking about unless you give it an address. And even then, it might not know what the fuck you're talking about. It might know an address like a couple feet away or something. So you're gonna have to. Uh, it's a really good thing though. One thing is though, if at least on my ROM, the text to speech notifications do not work. You're going to have to install the Google TTS. It's like in the App Store, the Google voice I don't know what you call it, the text to speech stuff. The one I have built into my ROM, I don't know if it's my ROM. I don't know what's going on with mine, but it does not work at all. It just errors out. Like it gives me no feedback and just like crashes sort of. So you're gonna have to install the Google text to speech, and plus when I discuss it later, I recommend installing a firewall. So even with this Google text to speech installed, it's not going to be contacting Google servers or anything like that. So it's not going to do anything crazy with the text to speech. But if you do use Google Maps, I'm saying if you use the text to speech with OSM in plus the free open source navigation app, the text to speech won't communicate with Google at all probably. But if you use Google Maps, it's probably going to communicate your location, all that stuff. I mean that. But I'm saying you probably should have that on your phone just because you're gonna get fucked in the ass sometime, and you're gonna have to look up. You're gonna have to figure out, basically Google Maps is gonna save your ass sometimes when OSMN Plus cannot get you to where the fuck you're trying to go. When you get a phone, you're gonna have to do TWRP recovery plus a root. That's pretty much required. It's basically a bootloader, and you're gonna have to install Lineage OS, because most phones are locked down. So you're gonna have to find out. You're gonna have to Google this shit. You're gonna have to figure out how the fuck you get TWRP on your phone, and how you can root your phone, because that's pretty much required. If you're gonna go with my setup, how I recommend it, you're gonna need a root, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to get a firewall, and a VPN on your phone at the same time. Otherwise, I'll discuss it later, but you're gonna have to find a phone that you can get TWRP, which is the bootloader, which allows you to flash ROMs and basically not fuck up your phone. It reduces the chance of you fucking up your phone, essentially. It makes installing stuff very easy. And then you're gonna have to figure out to root. I use a thing called Magisk. It's called Magisk. It's like Magic with like a SK or something like that. You can look it up, but that's kind of how you root stuff. And there's also a thing called Expose, which you can look at. There's different things you can add on to root and kind of modify your device, but Magisk, I think, is the one that you should look at for that. So why do you want to root your phone? Well, the app stores that you install, because you have to do a third-party app store. By default, there's like this thing where it's all locked down by default if you don't have a root. So you're going to have to manually update your phone. Manually, you're going to have to go through that install dialog every time you want to install an app. It gets really, absolutely fucking annoying after a while. And so you're definitely going to have root for the automatic app store privileges. There is an F-Droid thing called privileged extensions, which you can install. I think it requires Exposed or Magisk, one of those two. I can't remember which one it is on my device, but it allows you to install and update APK applications without giving it root access. But it's like I think it requires a root to get Exposed or the Magisk add-on to do this. But it allows you to basically allows F-Droid to do installing and upgrading without the dialogue popping up every time, automatic updates, all that stuff, without giving it root access. So I guess that's like a more secure way of doing it, but it's basically identical to giving it root access. But I'm pretty sure you still need to have root to get that thing configured on your device. So I mean, whatever. But Aurora, it's like a Google App Store front end, and it works really well. There was an old one called Yelp, but it doesn't work anymore. It's not been updated, so you're gonna have to use Aurora. That's the only option for this. There are third-party ones, like there's all these third-party, APK Peer, all these websites and all these. I would not use those at all. I wouldn't trust them at all. I would use Aurora because it goes directly to the fucking Google Play Store. It does not fuck around. This thing goes straight to the fucking botnet, bro. It fetches your app straight from the botnet. No third party, no third parties in between that could give you a virus or some shit. It goes straight to Google. It has a spoofed identification, so it spoofs who you are, just like has like a general username. I believe you can log in to your Google account if you want to download paid apps, but I think it's a violation of the Google user agreement, so you might get bans if you use Aurora and you sign into your actual account. So I would not recommend that. Generally, you shouldn't be paying for apps at this point if you're going this far. Like, there shouldn't be much you have to pay for at this point, because most of the stuff is on F-Droid. Some of the paid apps that are on the Google App Store are for free on F-Droid, like the simple apps. I'm not quite sure what exactly you would need that is paid. If you do need to get a paid app, I would say maybe pirate it, because I don't know if you want to risk getting your Google account banned for using Aurora. However, I think if you want to use Play Store, you're going to have to install Google apps, so that might be an issue. For firewall, this is one of the reasons why you need to have root. It's called AFWall. I think it's called AFWall Plus. It's on F-Droid. So the reason you need this is because if you do not have root, you can either use a firewall or a VPN if you do not have a root. This is because You can't use both at the same time. It's because the non-root firewalls are basically like a VPN. They act as a VPN. They're like a self-hosted VPN that blocks out stuff that you choose not to allow. So Android, for some reason, only allows one VPN at a time. So if you want to have a firewall and a VPN, you're gonna have to have a root, your device rooted. So this is so important though, because if you're gonna install these botnet apps, right, from Google Play Store like that, I feel so secure having these fuckboy apps on my phone, because I'm not giving them any internet access. So I have like Alarmy, which is the one I talk about later. It's this botnet, you know, alarm clock app, and if you get you can check out how much these apps are fucking around, talking to all your neighbors, talking to everybody. If you download No Root Firewall on Android, you can see all the chitter chatter that these fuckboy apps are talking to you, and they're talking to fucking China, they're talking to fucking Facebook, Amazon, all the fucking time, man. They're fucking stabbing you in the back 24/7, man. And you can look and it'll tell you like a play-by-play of all the communications that these apps are doing. And these apps are fucking crazy, bro. Like, these apps are absolutely insane. All these free apps that are on the Play Store, they're always talking to all these servers. It's ridiculous. So the way I use AFWall is I use some of these botnet apps like Alarmy, right? I don't use Mini. I just have Alarmy, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the main app that I have. That's botnet that I use. But I do not give it any internet access, so it does not contact any servers. So that's good. Another good thing about AFWall is that you can give it permissions to for most apps to only connect through the VPN. So if your VPN dies, you don't have to worry about anything getting exposed, like any IP addresses or anything. It just only connects when your VPN is set up and working. In the case where your VPN doesn't work, it just doesn't connect. It's really great. You're going to have Firefox or your browser, whatever browser you're using, you're going to have to allow it to connect to Wi-Fi, basically without a VPN connection, because a lot of these Wi-Fi networks that you connect to, they're going to require a sign-in. So you're going to have to sign in you're going to have to connect and talk to the infrastructure without the VPN connection. So you're going to have to allow Firefox or whatever browser that you use to also connect to Wi-Fi through the firewall. Because you're gonna have to sign in and get all that set up before. Then you're gonna have to click on your VPN to go from there, because you're gonna have to connect without the VPN first. Another good thing about root is that you can use Substratum. I'm not sure how you say it, but it's a way to theme stuff. I have a dark theme because I fucking hate this light theming. I don't know why. No one lets you fucking customize this shit. Finally, iPhone's letting you do that now with the dark theme. Windows is getting a dark theme. But this thing allows you to theme. Basically, you don't have to have a dark theme. You could have any theme you want. I use Android 8.1, so I don't know if this is applicable for 9.0, because it doesn't work. 9.0 does not work on my device. My device is kind of getting older, so some of the firmware and stuff doesn't work as well with the newer versions. But I think the newer versions allow you to dark theme. So it's not too big of a point anymore, but the root is, you're gonna have to have root. Like, this is not a point of debate. If you want to go this route, you need to have roots, because you need to have a firewall. Because all of these apps, man, you need to restrict them to just VPN only, because so you don't expose your IP address, all that stuff. There's more things. I think there's like I don't know the name of this thing, but there's a way that you can restrict like contacts. So you can give them dummy contacts lists, and so like Facebook tries to extract your contacts list. And there's like a exposed framework. I forgot what it's called, but there's one that's basically isolates apps, like a sandboxes apps that you can look into. There's a bunch of things with root that focus on privacy. So the app stores, yeah, Android is basically like a free, mostly open source sort of app store. There are some things that can be a little dubious, but mostly it's pretty much all good there. They do have like a browser called Iceweasel. I think it's called Iceweasel that I have on my phone. It's basically Firefox without the it's called Fennec F-Droid. It's basically Firefox without some of the blobs. So I mean, they kind of de-blob stuff. It's more open source friendly. Or Aurora Store is just a front end to Google Play Store. So Privacy, yes, you can get a VPN. I recommend the WireGuard app because you're on a cell phone, it doesn't have as much processing power. You're gonna need to conserve battery. You don't. VPN is very the VPN protocol. It's kind of inefficient. It's kind of old. It takes a while to connect. Plus, when you're jumping around from cell phone towers to Wi-Fi, you're on the move. You want to have it very quick and instant. So WireGuard is a very awesome protocol. It's a lot quicker. It literally connects in like 1 second. Like the second you click the button, this fucking thing connects to the VPN. Whatever you want to call it. It connects to the server. You're good to go from there. There's no issues with drop connections. Doesn't matter. It's fucking amazing. It's an app you can get in Android. It's called WireGuard. I highly recommend using Molvad as a VPN. I'm not sponsored or anything. You can use whatever the fuck you want. But you need to have someone that I would say get someone that supports WireGuard and has. I'm not sure. The thing is, I'm not sure how many people work. This is the only VPN I really used. I tried some other ones, but they're all like kind of fuckboyish. I found. So I would say try Molvad out. They have prepackaged. You just like download a what do you call it? Like a not like a blob. You download like this little file and you just like load it in as WireGuard. You just like open the file in WireGuard, and it just connects. It's fucking amazing. You can also, I think they allow you 3 connections at once, so you can have your phone connected, your PC connected. For PC, I would suggest using VPN because, well, at least I'm using Linux. But on Linux, there's not that good of a WireGuard support right now. There's nothing. I use Network Manager, and the WireGuard does not really work there. So I just use VPN for now. I'll wait until probably like fucking probably another year. I don't know before it gets like in the ecosystem well until I switch. But I mean, for a PC, it doesn't really matter. You're pretty much stationary, so it's not too big of a deal. But it does. I think it uses more CPU and stuff like that. But whatever. Yeah. So get to the WireGuard app allows you to basically it's like a VPN, but it's like a different. It uses the WireGuard protocol, so it's like a different. It's basically a VPN, but a different type of VPN. But it's a better type of VPN, so get that installed. Also, yeah, Firewall, get AF Wall Plus, I think it's called. It's an Android store. Yeah, you can block non-VPN connections, but yeah, you have to allow your browser to connect to Wi-Fi networks to set it up. It's not called iSUSE, it's actually called Fennec. That's a mistake. So these are the add-ons that I have on my phone. I have old Reddit redirect. If you want to ever check out Reddit once in a while, it's nice to have that's the better UI. Basically, there's more content on the screen. There's no if you do not I do not allow JavaScript to run. So if you use the new Reddit UI, it blocks posts. It just fucks with everything. You can't even view posts half the time. Everything just gets fucked up. Old Reddit redirect, you can use Reddit without JavaScript, but you cannot post and stuff. I don't post, I just lurk and stuff like that. But if you want to post, there's apps you can download if you want to post and do that stuff. But I also use Stylus. It allows basically you to dark theme the CSS for websites. I use the style quick and dirty, global dark. There's the URL. If you want to check it out, you can just toggle it on and off. If sometimes things break, you're going to have to toggle it on and off. I also use uBlock Origin, which is an ad block. You just install it. You don't have to mess with it. I also use UMatrix. I think this is the number one add-on that people need to have, because it allows you to block JavaScript. So much of the slowdown with web browsing is based on JavaScript. Also, so much of the privacy issues are with JavaScript because they can find out your browser, they can find out the dimensions of your screen, they can find out so many things about your browser, about you as a person once you enable JavaScript. So JavaScript is a huge privacy issue. They basically can do whatever the fuck they want on your computer. They're basically running code on your computer that can do whatever the fuck it wants. I would highly suggest you do not allow it unless you need to. The cool thing about UMatrix is that it's kind of like a set and forget sort of system. So let's say you need to access this one website all the time. You can allow the JavaScript and click this lock icon. It'll save that, it'll run that JavaScript all the time. So you can basically set it once. Every time you go back to the website, the JavaScript will run. So it's not like you have to keep doing it all the time. You kind of like build up a database of what you want to run, and it's very easy to use. One issue though is like if you have to use Google for like a particular site, it will enable Google for all sites. So it's not like a per site JavaScript sort of thing. It's like it's either all or nothing. Like you enable it or you don't enable it. So that's kind of an issue. So like I would say if you have to enable Google for like a particular issue, maybe you have to do like a CAPTCHA or something. Just click it, enable it for that time, but do not click the lock icon. Just hit the refresh icon for that one website, and it'll you won't remember it for future visits. If so, yeah. Basically, you click on the add-on. It loads up a new tab, and then you can edit all of you can click what you want to enable for that site, and then you can just click off the tab and goes back straight to your website, and it'll reload it. So for music, I would say use NewPipe. It basically lets you use YouTube. You can background music, so it'll play. You can play music in the background. You can also watch videos. You can subscribe to videos. I believe you can comment and stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I do not comment and stuff. But yeah, you can watch. I just use it for watching stuff. You can go from 360p to 1080p. It's really great. You can see trending stuff. You can view pretty much anything you want to view. You can search anything you want to search. It's very fast. It's fucking amazing. Like it's really great. You don't have to worry about restricted content. You don't have to, like everything just plays. There's no issues. You can view anything the fuck you want. It's such a great UI. I love this app. It's really great. And it doesn't use much CPU. Like it's very efficient. Like if you view things in JavaScript or stuff, it gets slow. This is like very efficient. It doesn't use much resources. Also, yeah, you can also download music. You can download it as M4A, and you can also download the videos as like MP4s and stuff like that. The music player, there's a bunch of music players. It's not too big of a deal. I use Vanilla Music. It's an F-Droid store. I mean, there's also like Phonograph or something. There's a couple of them. I would say try them out. Vanilla Music's definitely a great one to check out. For I/O, if you want to connect to your phone to your PC, all that stuff, you use MTP. That's basically the new protocol. There's no more standard output, so you have to use MTP. On Linux, I use Android file transfer. Sometimes I use a PCMan FM as my file manager. Sometimes it'll actually just pull up on Arch Linux. It'll just like show up on my thing if I have it loaded. Just there's a couple ways. Just look up MTP, figure out how you can do that. For SyncThing, SyncThing allows you to transfer files from your desktop or other devices through Wi-Fi. It's really quick. You use a SyncThing on your desktop. There's a web interface that loads up. That you can add folders that you want to sync, and you can select what devices you want to sync to. On Android, you use this app called SyncThing Fork. It's on F-Droid. It's basically SyncThing with a local Android GUI. It works really great. They connect in between each other using the standard protocol. For file manager on your Android device, I would say use Amaze. It's pretty great. It's on F-Droid. So for other apps, you have the red light filter. I would say this is highly recommended. It's called a red boon. It basically filters out some of the blue lights. So I think it's called actually a blue light filter. Some of the blue light kind of fucks with your eyes. That's what makes screens sort of hard to use sometimes. On Linux, you can use Redshift as well, but on Android, it's called a red moon. Anki is like a memorization sort of app, like a note card something. You can use Anki Droid. For email, use K9 Mail. Do not use there's a modern UI version of it, but it's not updated, so I would not use that one. Just use K9 Mail. Just live with the subpar UI. It's kind of like an older OI look or UI look, but it's still that app works perfectly fine. KeePassXE, if you use KeePass, which I do to manage passwords, you can use DX, and you can sync that file with Nextcloud. There's Nextcloud on Android, but the issue I find is that it does not automatically sync like the desktop counterparts. So I'm not entirely sure you might have to manually sync like your KeePass database every once in a while on Android, because it might not automatically do it. I find it does not automatically sync anything. Like I have to manually tell it, sync this fucking file. It's really fucking annoying. I wish it would have automatic sync like Linux, where it would just randomly check every, couple minutes. It would check, has anything changed, and let's get the newest files. But I find I have to manually sync things, and it's just a pain in the ass. But if you have to use Nextcloud, it's available. For alarm clock, I use Alarmy. It's one of the botnet apps you get from Aurora, which is basically the Google App Store. And I do not give it firewall access, or I do not give it internet access to the firewall. I use this app because well, it's the only one that it's the one that has the most versatility. You can do this one where you have to it has an alarm function where you can shake to, like, you have to shake it 30 times before it stops going off. Like, there's different alarms that are different alarms that are ensure you wake up. But also, I found some of the alarm apps on Android just don't work on my phones. Like, they don't actually, the alarm doesn't actually work. Also, Alarmy. The big thing about Alarmy is that if it ensures that your alarm volume is turned up all the way, because some of these alarm apps, if your volume is turned down all the way for some reason, it won't actually turn the volume up. So it'll set an alarm off, but it'll be like super quiet, or it won't even be on because your alarm volume on your phone is turned down. So Alarmy is really great because it automatically increases the volume all the time to max volume when the alarm goes off. It'll keep doing that. So it's really great to ensure that you actually wake the fuck up, because that's been an issue with some of these F-Droid apps, alarm clock apps, where they don't actually wake me up because either don't work or the volume's too low or something like that. It's just fucking annoying. For email provider, this is not really Android related, but I would say use disroot.org. It's pretty great. It's free. They also give you 4 gigabytes of Nextcloud storage, and it's easy to set up with Thunderbird, which is on your device, your desktop device, and also K9 on your Android device. They have configs posted, or like general setup stuff posted online, so you can check that out. And yeah, it works great. So I guess that's everything. I would say if you want to try to De-Botnet Android, get a phone that you can root, install TWRP on, get Lineage OS installed on there, get the fucking firewall. You need a firewall on there for sure. Get AF Wall Plus, get WireGuard, get a VPN like Molvad, set that bitch up. Restrict all your apps to VPN only. Restrict the botnet apps to no internet access, and then also allow your browser to get Wi-Fi, whatever access, because you're gonna need to sign in to some of those Wi-Fi networks to sign in. I would say try to avoid Google services, all those main services. You can use OSMN Plus to do navigation. It works pretty well. However, I would suggest you have Google Maps installed on your phone as well, because you might need it in a situation. I would say, yeah, you're probably gonna need it at one point in time. So, in summary, that's it. This was kind of a long video, but hopefully it's fairly thorough. Hopefully you guys can De-Botnet your phones, and peace.